It's a very important topic. A reflection on death is what this week is all about. And if you ask yourself, why would it be important to continuously remind ourselves that we are going to die? Do you see that as something important? Yes, no? Yes, why?
It continuously reminds me that time is short and you shouldn't make the most of it.
Yeah. Right? It leads to, for many people, sorry. For many people, reflecting on death has this first impact of being a very depressive thought. It's because we are raised like that. In our culture, we have learned to avoid death, to not look at a dead body, for example. And still we have this childish curiosity inside of ourselves still, right? If there is a dead body or someone injured, we want to look. We don't want to ignore it. Deep down inside, we want to see what has happened. We're curious. Because it's a natural part of life, like a child. It's curious. Why doesn't that man move? So death usually is something that is shushed away. The people who die in hospitals, they have this palliative care unit. That's where they spend their last days or weeks. And it's very isolated. And when that person then dies also, the room is closed. They're quickly carried into the basement of the hospital, quickly frozen, put out of sight. And then the corpse is usually also, again, there's a makeup put on the corpse, and they inject artificial blood into the veins so the skin looks rosy again. You might have had some experience with death yourself. You might have seen a close relative or friend die. You might not have had that experience yet. One thing that my teacher told me in the monastery was, when someone dies that you love very much, look very well. Open your eyes wide and look very well. I didn't really get what that means until that happened to me. When we see someone pass away, and it's very important for us, like almost like a part of ourselves is leaving, is going. And then we are still there. And it confronts us with the fact that our own time is limited. And that again gives us the opportunity to see, well, I have some time left. What am I going to do with that? That's the result, usually, of the depressive first impact of death. Oh, death, oh God, no, it's not a dinner topic. Don't talk about it. There's this depression. And then after the depression, there is the next step. That's the invitation. The depression is merely the key that opens the door. The fear of death is a key. It opens a door. It shows you, like, here, look, you're not living your life fully. That's what that fear is. You're actually wasting time. And we don't want to face that. We all know it somehow, that we waste a lot of time, for example, arguing with one another, or, just doing things that we could do better, things that we might later regret. But as we have this idea that we have a lot of time left, we think we can just waste that time for day in, day out, doing the same old, same old. So we're also keeping ourselves from really developing skills, or developing good qualities, or making use of the time wisely. And the reflection of death has that as an effect. It creates this depression as a clear sign that, okay, I'm not really living my life fully. Those who do live their lives fully, when they reflect on death, they feel a genuine joy. Like the joy of, there's nothing I regret. And it's very genuine. That's not easy. You might, if you superficially contemplate death, get that idea. I have no trouble with death. But when it actually comes into your life, you will see. It's a whole different ball game. Many times we might think, yeah, seize the day, live every day as it were your last. But if that is serious, let's say if you would imagine today you had to go to a hospital because you feel that kind of little pain there. Doctor performs his task and then finds out that your body is full of cancer. 4th stadium, that's pretty much it. You might have 2 months left, maybe a month. Now it's serious. It's like real. It's not a Facebook post. It's not a sticker on the fridge. Like live every day as if it was your last. Now it's like a real thing. And now it shows, oh my God, I'm very scared. That's a very honest, very deep human emotion. We all fear death. And that fear is something I consider to be very positive and very healthy, because it's an invitation to live our lives more fully. Now, what does it mean to live a life fully? You need to travel a lot, you need to eat all the ice cream that you can get, you need to get all the cars, you need to be successful in your business, you need to have the best relationships. Like, you live only once, might as well have 5 wives. Like, many people consider this to be living our lives fully, like completely getting lost in the external world and the possibilities of it. There is a possibility that is far more profound, has far more impact, and it's the possibility of changing yourself, changing who you are, or who you are here as. And the highest kind of frequency, you could say, is being here, just being here. Not being here as Tobi, not being here as whatever, a meditation teacher, a meditation student, a person with a lot of problems that hopes to become unproblematic. But to just be here. Without hopes, without fears. Just pure presence. That's living your life fully. Not going around in treating life a bit like a shopping mall. Like I could shop this, I could shop that. That's okay too. That has its place too. I'm not negating that aspect of life. But there's something deeper, something that's more rich. This is the invitation to actually feel alive. And to rediscover that. That requires some curiosity also. Some people consider this like to be a beginner's mind. You don't know nothing. You're approaching this moment without any preconception, without any idea about it. You're just open for it. And that's when you start to learn to a certain humility. How big are you? How big are your problems? Put them into perspective. No matter what you're going through right now in your life, put it into perspective. Now, if you're in your own head, it looks very big. Now, get out of your own head and consider that there are so many more people on this planet. They all try the same. They try to be happy. They try not to suffer. Just like us. Just like me. Puts it into perspective, right? Here's me. I'm a person that suffers, that tries to not suffer at some point. Try to be relaxed and happy, just like everyone else. And I'm limited by my own idea about happiness. I'm limited by my ideas about myself. I'm limited by my ideas about the world. Like everyone else. We're limited by our upbringing, by our past experiences. You can't help but be you. Nobody can help it. We're all the same there. You can't help but having the thought you have. You can't think differently. It's impossible. Even if you decide like, yeah, I can think differently. Well, you can't help but having that thought because of the way you've been brought up and the way life has conditioned your mind. So that way we're all in kind of in the same boat. All trying to be happy, trying not to suffer. That takes you out of your own little head and sees that there are many heads just like yours. Zoom out even a bit more until you see planet Earth from a distance. It's like a tiny blue ball in space. And you're on there somewhere. How big are you now? How big is your life? My life, it's so dramatic and so problematic. Well, if you zoom out a little bit, how about even more? Until you can see our solar system with 8 or 9 planets. Zoom out even more, you can see our galaxy. It's just so incredibly vast, these dimensions. Now, who are you in that? Sometimes I recommend, go on YouTube. There's these little video clips that show just how vast space is. Watch them. Contemplate again. What role do I play in there? What's the purpose of me being alive for that blink of an eye? Less than a blink of an eye. These numbers, 200 billion light years. It's just, you can't really comprehend it. It's so big, both in time and space. What role do I play in that? Is it really so dramatic? Is it really so bad? What's my purpose here? And my time is very short. It's very limited, very short. Now, if I reflect on that, I might die tonight. That is a very real thing. I might die tonight. You too. You might die tonight. Age is not a guarantee. Oh, you're still young. It's not a guarantee. You might die tonight. Really let that sink in. I know there's so many security systems inside of our mind that don't let that sink in. So you need to kind of sit with that for a while, sit with that thought. I might die tonight. I might really die tonight. This might be the very last thing I do in my lifetime. Just giving a talk here. It might really be the very last thing I do today. And I notice there's so many security mechanisms inside of myself that don't let that sink in. I need to work on that a little bit. Stay with it. Don't avoid it. Because usually the security mechanisms is like, yeah, wow, that was a profound thought. I should read a book about that. They immediately kind of want you to move on. Do something about it. Do something else. Don't stay with that uncomfortable feeling of the fact that you actually might die tonight. But I say go there and let it become super uncomfortable. The more uncomfortable, the more you have like a kind of, it's like a gauge. You know it's more genuine. Your reflection becomes more genuine. It really hits the right spot. So the first feeling you want to look for when reflecting on death and dying is the discomfort. This, I don't want to die. Nobody wants to. When death comes in, we all fear. Because we don't know what's going to happen with us. We all have some ideas. But that's what that is, it's ideas. So go where it becomes really uncomfortable. And once it is actually uncomfortable, then see where does the discomfort actually lead you. What's next? There's an urge behind the discomfort, isn't there? It's almost like a voice calling out of the discomfort saying, you got to do something about this. Call mom. Call dad. Say thank you. Say sorry. Say I love you. There's this urge of doing something good immediately. Seek forgiveness. You got to feel into that. And there's a few nice exercises you could do. For example, if you had one phone call that you can make today, is your last phone call. You can call one person. Who would you call? And what would you say? It's the last phone call that you can ever make. If you would write an email to someone, what would you write? Well, it's the last email you ever write. If you go to bed at night and you're living in a relationship, what would you say? When you leave the house, sometimes I leave the house, Pan stays here, or Pan leaves and I stay here. Very often I contemplate, she might not come back. I might go out with a motorbike, something happens, she doesn't come back. Very uncomfortable thought. It's even more uncomfortable actually to reflect on the death of Pan than on my own death. That's another gauge that shows me that I haven't really truly penetrated my own death yet. I've been doing some work on that. But really thinking about someone that you love dying away, what would you tell them? If you knew that they are not going to come back, what would you say to them? You see how the reflection on death kills immediately. It kills all the nonsense. It kills all the bullshit. And it immediately creates an urge to be genuine, honest, kind, and compassionate. Immediately. Sometimes I ask the question, what would you do if this was your last day? And some people say, I'd get super high. I smoke 10 joints. I like pop a bottle of the best champagne and then just completely knock myself out and then take a few sleeping pills at night, just sleep at the beach. But what would you really do? It's very unlikely you would do these kind of things. Like, oh, I'm going to die tonight. Like, where's the joint? Very unlikely. If that actually happened, you'd become probably very serious, first of all. It's like a shock to the system. And from that seriousness, from that shock, there's an awakening on the other side. That we need to search. This is not about making you depressed. It's not a week of depression. This is about really waking up to what you have now. It leads to gratitude. Wow, I'm healthy. I'm relatively healthy. I can move my body. I can do this. I have a job I love. I'm with people that I respect. I'm happy about being able to breathe right now. Oh, and my heart is beating. That's good. I can appreciate that more. And isn't it a miracle? Isn't it kind of mind-blowing that you are here in this form and shape with that kind of body? Isn't it weird? It's almost like a car, this body. Like it has bones and blood and muscle fibers inside. tendons, and you can move it, and you can walk around with this body. And it digests food, and you put food into that hole in your face, and then you chew it. Ngak, ngak, ngak. Isn't that weird? You sit together with other bodies around a table, and then you make sounds while you eat. And you talk. Just the fact that I sit here right now and my body makes speaking sound is a very weird thing. I don't know at all how it works. I have no idea how it works. But it does. And I find it absolutely amazing and fascinating. It's a miracle. There's 200 billion stars or so in one galaxy, in our galaxy. That's less than the number of atoms in our eye, in one eye. This is mind-blowing stuff. I'm not sure exactly about the numbers, but it's something like that. Have a look. Anyhow, whatever you are going to find is going to blow your mind. Guaranteed. How can we not be stunned by the fact that we sit here and feel alive? What is this? Why are we here? In this room right now, in this realm, on this planet, in the middle of space. Why are you here? Doesn't it feel strange? Now, when you can access that kind of feeling, you're getting a bit closer to feeling how it is to be alive. What a miracle that is. And how strange it is that we can get so lost in our own problems that our thought made is totally unnecessary. But we can be completely consumed by it also. Isn't that weird too? That this short time span, like if you look at the human race, that short time that we have being alive, you look at it from above, from far above, you see this little human being walking there, and then falling down dead. It's like observing ants. They just do their thing down there. It's like almost like entertaining. What's the purpose of this? Or walking around, very busy, creating a lot of problems, and then dying. And we're part of this. We're all doing that, running around. And then you learn things at school, and you absorb those things. You learn things from your parents, and you absorb those things. You learn how to feel about yourself. You learn how to think about yourself, what to believe in. You learn that future is very important, and you need to make it. And you need to be successful, you need to be number one, and you need to do this, and then you need to have that. And then we get totally lost in that dream. Until we're totally dulled down, like zombies. Just walking around on autopilot, doing what we have been conditioned to do. By society's culture, the way you've been raised, by your past, right? There's so much stuff that makes you who you are. Or the atoms that make up the eye, the atoms that make up your body, all the organisms that are in your body, making sure that it runs properly and smoothly. The nervous system, the blood, it's all working. It's all playing its part so that you can sit here now and become aware of it. And that is like, it's an invitation. We usually become acutely aware of it when we have when there was almost an accident, something that just almost happened to you. You're on your motorbike, cruising along, like in zombie mode, thinking about where you're going, where you're coming from. And all of a sudden, almost you hit a car in front of you. Wow. Now you're acutely alive. And you notice it, just only for short, until the thoughts come right back. What was that? Why? Oh my God, what an asshole, blah, 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 blah. You got lost in the story again. But there was this short moment of intense aliveness. Super sharp clarity. All the senses were alert. You were fully there. And then we come back into the dream. Oh, it's almost like going back into a muddy place. The mind fogs fogs over again. So what we do with meditation practice is we are learning to sustain that space of openness, of curiosity. I think it was Jesus who said that those who want to enter the kingdom of heaven need to become like children again. Why would he say that? What did he mean by that? What is it that makes me different from a child? Me as a 2-year-old boy versus me as a 34-year-old man. What's the difference? Fear, yes. And the illusion that I know my stuff. The illusion that, yeah, I've learned my stuff. I did this and I did that, and now I know what that. This is a mat, this is a cushion, that's a glass of water. I know my stuff. So this is kind of an adult. We know our stuff, right? What do you work? Oh, I'm a consultant, executive, manager, whatever, deluxe, high, prestige, whatnot. That's what I am. Who are you? Oh, I'm depressed. I'm so depressed. And then we limit all the other possibilities of what we could be to that one thing. This is who I am. And a child doesn't do that yet. It doesn't really know what it is. Doesn't probably question it either. What am I? Doesn't do that. It's just there. If it's hungry, it screams. Get some food. Okay. Done. Problem solved. Another difference I found is that I stick to things much longer. If I see something that's unpleasant, I think about it after I've seen it. I keep thinking about it, making myself unhappy perpetually, maybe for hours afterwards still, sometimes even days, keeping something in mind, worrying. You don't see children worry much, like 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds. They don't worry much about the future, about the past. They're just there. And so that's very close to what Jesus probably refers to as the kingdom of heaven. It's very pure, unstained, unburdened, not heavy, not mentally filled with heavy stuff, a heavy me that leads a heavy life, hoping that one day I'll become a bit more light, like enlightenment, something like that. I need to meditate more so then I can become enlightened. That's just another burden, another heaviness. It's not about trying to be someone. It's about waking up to what is. Truth also, you can say, truth. What is? And being curious about it, discovering it. So my system is, as soon as I think about the future, where am I going, what will I do, I usually tend to answer, I'm going to die. What are my plans for 2018? I'm going to die. Where will I go? I'm going to die. It pulls me back into what is. Doesn't mean I abandon my plans. I still have plans. But the priority is not with my plans. I make a plan and then that's that. I don't worry about it. Just do what needs to be done. But the most important thing, the most important part of my life is life, which is now. You are alive only ever now. You're not alive tomorrow, you're not alive yesterday. So past and future are nothing but death. And we keep groping in death, trying to find life. Trying to find life tomorrow, trying to find life next year. It's going to be awesome. In 10 minutes, when I have lunch, then I'll be alive. Then I'll feel good. But you're here now. And Every single cell in your body is asking for you to come back home, to pay attention, to be awake to what is. Every time. And the more you can do that, the more you can really abandon future and abandon past, the more you die. The more this fabricated sense of me, which is dependent on all the thought constructs, all the stories in our heads, becomes malnourished. You're not creating me's anymore. You're not creating personalities anymore. That's why you're becoming more and more happy. There's no more sense of a heavy me trying to become light. But there's lightness instead. I find that to be a very daring thing, actually, to abandon future and past. It's not easy. Because my mind will immediately reason, like, you can't abandon. No, you're going there and then you do this. How can you abandon that? It's almost like, come on, just don't let me die. But over the years I have learned that this is pretty much it. I can totally trust and relax into life, what is right now and here. Everything else comes from that. It's not that I need to figure out what will happen. But the more I am here, the more fully I am here, the more clear my direction, the more clear my actions. And therefore also the results of those actions are clear. It's that way around. So it's from the inside out. It's from presence to create direction. Like you can steer a car, you can steer it only now. You cannot steer it in 10 meters. This is something that's out of access. You can't access in 10 meters, ever. But you can steer right now, and it has an impact on where you're ending up in 10 meters. So if your current state is released, happy, present, then that's your direction. So we don't need to worry about the future. We don't need to figure anything out. You can actually fully relax into what is. And the rest will be just fine as a result. So this is all that comes to mind for today. Are there any questions?